Camera rolling. Sound speed. Welcome to episode 2 of What's Going On? This is the second episode of the podcast. I already tried to film this once. I've technically filmed 4 podcast episodes at this point, and this is being counted as the second official episode because the first draft of the second episode of this podcast, it turned out to be a bit depressing, I found. I am having an existential crisis, but I think it was just a bit, who knows? I'm going to keep it in the archive, and maybe it'll be released at some later date, because I am going to keep up this podcast. I'm deciding right now to keep this podcast up. I just want some stick-to-itiveness in my life. I'm trying to have some stick-to-itiveness recently, and making sure I post a second podcast episode is in that list of things that I want to stick to. Another thing that I have stuck to twice now, that I just got back from, actually, is swimming. I just went swimming, and I think it was a 25-meter lap pool. I swam 40 laps, so I swam 1K. That is crazy. And I left the gym, and all of those fitness people are right. You do feel a high from doing fitness, because I seriously was leaving that class and feeling so zenned out, extremely zenned out, and that's all I have to say about it. And that's actually not all I have to say about it. I don't want this to be a preachy. I still have not figured out this podcast. My friend Amelia suggested that the podcast or part of the podcast could possibly be going over to people's houses and interviewing them, because everyone watches. This is entirely her idea, but not everyone, but people often listen to podcasts when they're cleaning, doing chores, cleaning their room, for example, what I was talking about in the first episode. And wouldn't it be interesting to go over to people's houses and watch them, film them, /watch them, /maybe help them clean their room, and interview them? Because then you can also interview them based on the objects that they find in their room. You can talk about that. That's a conversation piece. Or you could also, I feel like maybe sometimes people's ideas flow, or you're less self-conscious of your ideas when you're distracted. So maybe people would offer up some interesting anecdotes while they're distractedly cleaning. Oh, okay, yeah. So, I don't know what the structure of this podcast is gonna be. All I know is that insofar I have changed the object that I am attaching my mic to in the second episode. And, currently, this is still being filmed in my apartment. I have a new fridge. That's the only thing that's changed about my current setting. It's white instead of black. That was a whole ordeal, carrying honestly, that's the one thing about having having an apartment or a house or settling down, is that you actually have to if you live somewhere long term, you actually have to deal with the upkeep and the maintenance of the place. Like, your fridge eventually will break down, and you will have to deal with moving a fridge out of your apartment and moving a new one in, or eventually renovating your apartment, or like things that people do. Like, one thing that I have to do in this apartment is I need to it's not like grout. It's like the kind of soft thing that's on the edge of your bathtub, that water seals your bathroom and your bathtub. Like, if you have one of those shower bathtub combo things going on, well, basically the grouting, that is not the right word. The thing that is sealing the edge of my bathtub to make it waterproof needs to be ripped up and replaced. That's something you have to deal with when you have an apartment. That's just an observation. What else am I going to talk about? I think, do I have things to talk about? I don't know. What is the point of this podcast? Oh, I could talk about... I can talk about the title. I hate this podcast. Is this gonna be just me talking about how I don't have anything to talk about and then trying to find something to talk about? If you're sticking with this, I'm just gonna keep talking. I am just gonna keep talking. I am gonna tell you a story about how the podcast name, What's Going On, came to be. So, cut to South Korea, Seoul, summer of 2022. I am living in Seoul, South Korea for 3 months. I've been there. I got there in May, and I'm living in an apartment with this girl named Christina, and it's amazing. What has brought me to Korea, you might ask? Weirdly, there's an industry in Korea that employs European Western models. And they fly you out, these agencies in Asia will fly out these Western European models and put them up in an apartment, and you will basically work as a model for brands that are local to that modeling agency. So that's what I was doing. Crazy adventure. Amazing adventure. And I met so many cool people. And it was so fun to just parade around Seoul and basically do anything and explore and have fun and meet new people and make some interesting choices for sure that led to some amazing cool memories. I'm being extremely vague. Anyways, I met a bunch of cool model friends while I was there. They were just amazing, cool people. And at one point, we got a hold of this karaoke mic. It was like a standalone karaoke mic where you can change the effects of the microphone as you're speaking into it. My laptop is gonna die. That's great. I think my phone's probably gonna die too. Well, we're gonna keep talking until these devices die. Anyways, we're in Korea. We have this microphone, and as a joke, I don't know who started it. We were just playing around and pretending that we had a podcast, and speed run through episodes. And my really good friend Yvonne, he always had this catchphrase "What's going on?" And we kind of adopted it as the podcast name. Or maybe this was all in my head. But we talked about making it like a podcast. And we, for a very brief period of time, seriously debated having a podcast. And the thing about these contracts is that you meet all these people and they're all coming from different countries, mostly in Europe, and everyone is kind of coming and going. People are staying for 2 months, 3 months. I stayed for 3 months. And so it's not like you're all there together for like a long period of time. And so we thought, okay, we could like FaceTime or something and podcast each other and make a podcast and then post it. And it would be super fun. I think we actually even FaceTimed once. After I left Korea, we all FaceTimed once, like, and tried to almost screen record a podcast of what's going on. It didn't really work out. I mean, it's hard to coordinate with time zones and everything. But since then, I love podcasts. And again, count how many times I will say podcast in this episode. But I love listening to podcasts. They're great. So I always had like a idea in the back of my head that I would make a podcast. And here I am, doing it. At one point, I thought maybe a good idea would be, the title is What's Going On, and so I thought maybe because I've done 2 trips of traveling and staying in different countries for work, I thought maybe it would be a fun idea to call different people, like even people from back home, from where I live, or friends that I met along the way, and giving them a call and doing like a Skype podcast of literally what's going on, like what's going on in your life. Like, I feel like it would be a good way to hear different people's stories and have different conversations about different parts of the world, I guess. And just shoot the shit kind of vibe or something like that. But I'm a bit shy, to be honest. Like even right now, as I'm speaking, I really don't know how good the microphone is, because I don't know if you can hear like background music or anything like that. Not background music, like background noise. I'm not sure what the quality is like, but even the thought of my neighbors hearing me filming this podcast is nerve-wracking. Again, how many times will I say podcast? Let's wait till the end of the episode to count. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep trucking along, picking different objects to pick up to film this. Maybe I should make some notes about what I am going to record. But that is for episode 3, not episode 2, because we're in the middle of episode 2, and I am not about to reshoot this. What have I been thinking about lately? I went swimming, okay? And I was swimming at my YMCA, local YMCA pool. I love to swim. I used to swim when I was really young, like many people used to do. I used to swim at the community pool growing up near my house, and I love swimming. I am a water sign, so maybe that has something to do with the fact that I love swimming, but I thoroughly enjoy being in the water. It's just so fun, but I never really thought about it as a form of exercise. Like when I did swim lessons growing up, there was like a part of a swim lesson, especially as you went up through the levels, where there's a portion where you have to tread water. So you have to like stay still and use your legs to basically propel yourself to stay above water, which was torture. And then the second torturous thing about swim lessons was that we had to swim laps. And I thoroughly hated it. Like, I swear, I just don't know if I was ever like an endurance sort of athlete. I did gymnastics growing up, so it was like more about short bursts of power. But being able to endure lap upon lap upon lap of swimming to pass a level was absolute torture when I was younger. No, I did enjoy swimming. Like, recreationally, I loved swimming. I at a very young age was able to dive super deep in the deep end. That was like my claim to fame when I was like 6 years old, or however old I was. Anyways, cut to now. I am kind of I'm trying different forms of exercise. One of my New Year's resolutions was to find an exercise routine that works for me. And calling back to the stick-to-itiveness, like I really just want to find something. Like, I don't want this to be a New Year's resolution that I make and then give up. Like, 2025 is going to be the year that I find some sort of fitness routine that is going to work for me. I'm telling myself more than anyone else. And so I'm experimenting with swimming. And it's actually working out pretty well. I think that my endurance, maybe it's more of what I have maybe realized is that endurance is much more about a mental game than a physical game. The human body is wonderful. It can do a lot of things. Like, back in the day, people like used to be active all day and have to walk long distances and run sometimes. And I'm being super vague about ancestral fitness, but like, I've realized that endurance is way more mental, and I'm slowly building my mental capacity to endure physical pain while exercising, which I think is what exercising is about. Now, while I was swimming, I thought about and also literally experienced one person that kind of inspired me to start swimming is Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown. She's a compassion researcher, wholehearted shame researcher from, I believe, Texas. Maybe. But years ago, I read her book called The Gifts of Imperfection, and I listened to her podcast a couple times. I've watched a couple interviews. I don't know exactly where she talked about it, but she talked about the fact that she loves swimming. And at one point, she kind of talked about staying in your own lane, like, and she used swimming as a metaphor, where when you're swimming, you're pretty much, if you're in a public pool, you're swimming beside other people who are also swimming at different, that was an interesting sound effect, but everyone's swimming at different paces. Like, literally at my pool, there's a section for fast, medium, and slow speed, and then also just like a recreational section. So you, like, even when you enter the pool, you kind of can pick which area you're gonna go swim in. But while you're swimming, you do notice the people swimming beside you. You notice if maybe you're lapping them, like if they're resting and you're not, or if you're resting and they've just keep on continually swimming, or at some parts you will be swimming adjacent to another swimmer and you'll realize, am I going slower than this swimmer? Am I going faster than this swimmer? And she talked about this where it's like, I mean, for her, she was very competitive. And, I mean, I'm like, I feel like for me, I'm competitive, but I almost kind of bail on being competitive because I don't want to fail or be bad at something. But I noticed while I was swimming that happened. Like, I was either slower than someone, faster than someone. At some points, I was resting and other people kept on swimming. And at some points, other people kept on swimming and I would be I literally lost track of what I was saying. Anyways, I just realized that I was comparing myself to other swimmers. And Brene Brown immediately popped into my head. And the lesson that she sort of teaches is that you should just stay in your lane. Just focus on what you're doing. Don't think about the person swimming slower than you, faster than you. Because what good is that going to do you? Either it's going to tire you out if you try to catch up to them, or it's going to just unnecessarily boost your ego if you are going faster than them, because, I don't know, you don't know. You don't know what their story is. You don't know if they're having a bad swimming day, if they enjoy going slow, if this is their first time swimming. And who cares if you're faster or slower or whatever? Everyone is doing their own thing. And it was just a cool thing to I don't know, it was a cool thing to happen, or for me to remember while I was swimming today, that I should stay in my own lane. Because I'm also really trying to do that in other parts of my life right now. Like, for example, I'm trying to stay off of Instagram. Is it completely working? No. Am I addicted to it? Yes, I am. But the one thing that I've been noticing while I've been trying to, I don't know, limit my usage of Instagram and like TikTok and just social media in general is I just need to stay in my own lane. Like, it's every time I jump on to Instagram, I will see someone doing something cool, and immediately I will compare myself to them. Immediately, like, I'll compare myself to them and I'll think, oh, I'm here. I'm just going about my regular day doing what? Like, nothing. Really. Nothing of extravagance or extraordinary or, I don't know, of like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not, there's nothing that's on paper wondrous about my life right now. According to like, but, okay, what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying not to compare myself to other people. Like, my life is my life, and mundane could be, like, having a mundane life could be extraordinary. Maybe. Maybe not. But it was cool to see it in the pool as like a metaphorical and like very applicable what is it? Anecdote or like life lesson to stay in your own lane. Like, I avidly was practicing. Okay, I see this person's going faster than me. I'm not going to speed up and tire myself out. I'm just going to focus on myself. How am I feeling right now? Can I go faster because I want to go faster? Should I slow down? Am I tiring myself out? How many laps have I done? Like, how do I feel? Am I proud of myself? Am I feeling good? Am I feeling bad? Just checking in with myself and not worrying about what other people are doing. Because what good is that going to do me? Either I'm going to be able to swim at the pace that I'm able to swim at now. Focusing on what other people are doing isn't going to change how much energy I have, how much stamina I have, how much endurance I have, if endurance and stamina are same or different, but that's all I gotta say. I mean, I'm kind of ending my I don't know. Maybe that's the end of the podcast. Maybe that's what is going on with this podcast? What's going on? I think I maybe should talk for a bit longer. But maybe I should end the podcast here. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about many different things. I promise next time there will be a bit more. It'll be a bit less confusing because I'm literally confused right now. What's going on? Okay, bye.